All right, thank you. Hey, music lovers, welcome to Musical Miles Podcast. I'm your host, Byron Duffin, and I am here with Miss Adrian Brannan.
Woohoo! We're ready to have some fun.
Oh, we are ready to have a great time. So we are in Wickenburg, Arizona.
Yes, sir.
At the Art of the Cowgirl. And have you been here before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay.
So for years, I've known about the event, loved it, loved the legacy that Mesa and Tammy built.
Yeah.
Was just absolutely heartbroken that I didn't get a chance in previous years to come on
when
out.
Tammy was still alive.
Yeah, and this was something that they built an event that is incredibly, and the only word I know to describe it is classy. From everything that I saw, you looked at it and you just go, what a top-notch production.
Right.
And I just graduated from grad school and I finally had the time to come. And as we drove in today, we got here about an hour ago or so. And as we drove in, I went, oh, this is what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, this is significantly different kind of event than what we've seen before. This is amazing.
Oh, yeah. No. It's top notch. And Ty Yost now owns it.
Yep.
Ty and Stacy Yost. And this is first class.
Yeah,
I mean,
they've done a beautiful job.
We have been, in the short time we've been doing the podcast, and we've known you a long time, but in the short time we've been doing...
Longer than either of us would care to admit, I think.
Right. But it's, we've been to a lot of events, and this is probably one of the best ran. I mean, they provide a great place for us to do the podcast interviews.
You have good people. It's going to be a great event. And that's the thing, just from walking from the stage over to here, I think we saw more amazing folks in just a couple 100 yards.
Oh, yeah.
Than you can shake a stick at. And once you get good people together, I mean, good people, good horses, good music, good podcasts. There's a whole great lineup. There's an open mic as well that I didn't realize was
open mic this afternoon. Amazing. Well, and we got here, we had secured interviews with, you had agreed, and then I think 3 other artists, but I think we've interviewed them all.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I'm the straggler.
We just showed up. Well, we knew you were going to be the straggler because you were. We just know. So.
You always need to be careful about Adrian, because if I don't have Lizzie, if I don't have my sister there to make sure that I am on time, I'll get distracted and go buy a horse. By the way, please don't let me buy a horse. Don't let me buy a horse. I don't need. And there's some really nice ones here.
Oh, there's some beautiful horses here. We are horseless ourselves, so we find it a lot easier to load up and hit the road and go do podcast interviews all over the country.
I think that's one of the struggles and the difficulties of modern life, and when you have so many interests and so many things that you're passionate about. Because I find as an artist, if you're going to tour all the time, if you're going to be on the road for music or whatever your craft is, there's this odd dichotomy and this odd balance that you have to find of you have this connection to the land. Like my cows, I haven't seen my cows since grad school. I plain haven't, because thank the Lord they're in good hands. They're on a great lease with great people. But at some point, if you're going to be making your art front and center, you have to go and pursue that and finding that balance.
You make some sacrifices.
You do, and it's hard.
And it's not easy. And it's funny you say that, because we got to interview Kristen Harris in Elko.
I love Kristen.
And Kristen, same deal.
Yep.
She says, I have cows and I love cows, but I haven't seen my cows in a while.
Yeah.
Her cows were in Idaho.
And she has, and mine are in Utah, right? Yeah. And she has a way more insane schedule than I do, because but
she wasn't in grad school either.
She's the hardest worker in the world, though. I met Kristen at Elko years and years ago. I think we're just a year apart, and I think I was 16 or 17 when I met her.
Okay.
And watching her, again, it's this another beautiful aspect of this industry and this community is watching these incredible people go through life and excel and do incredible. You having trouble with your beard?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my ears.
With my fake hair, man, it just gets in everything.
We're good.
You gotta watch.
The microphones are working good, so we're gonna go.
But that's one of the beautiful things is watching folks we all kind of grow up together in this industry, and you see, I'm not the only one going through that. Kristen's doing that too, and that's a comfort.
Well, interestingly enough, we bring up Elko. You were there 3 weeks ago, so busy we didn't catch up with you there, but we were there. We were there doing interviews, and it was so cool. But that is the very first place we saw Adrian.
Wait, was that
I want to say
G3 bar,
at
or
the
was
G3 bar with Dave Stamey and Ian, wasn't it?
What? Yes, I did a show with, and then that was the night that we ended up at JR's when it was still JR's with Ian.
Okay.
And I think that was where he gave me life advice, which is not appropriate for being on the media. Between Ian Tyson and Tom Russell, when I was like 14, 15, 16, those guys gave me life advice that I look back on and I'm like, man, that came in handy, but y'all didn't have any business telling a 15-year-old girl that sort of thing. Like,
no, but I can only imagine it coming from Ian. So.
You know, one of the great things, though, I say that jokingly, but one of the great things as well, like Tom told me, we did my second album together. We did Boots and Pearls together. And we had so much fun. It was also kind of weird doing a album with like one of your heroes.
Right.
But I'll never forget, he told me at one point, and he talks like this, and he said, kid, one of these days, you're going to run out of bubblegum topics to talk about in your writing. Which is funny, because I was writing songs about, you know, murder, domestic violence, like bucking horses, you know, agriculture. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? And now, you know, I'm older, and I realized what he meant. The delivery was hilarious. It was typical Tom. It was great.
Sure.
But I look at it now, and it's interesting because I see my writing and the music and how much it's changed and shifted just from grad school, just from getting a little bit older, just from that. Sure. And I see that in other artists like Kristen as well. And it's beautiful to like, and I see it in like folks like Jesse and Mary Kay. And, you know, you kind of do the same shows together and you just go, oh, we're all growing.
Right.
And we're all
life's
growing
an
together.
Evolution, you know, regardless. And we've watched you evolve and blossom into a beautiful young lady. And we just thought you were adorable back then.
You guys
and we
have
actually
been so
hired
kind.
you to come and do a New Year's Eve party.
We
think in 2010, we think. It was New Year's Eve.
I want to say that was 5 years ago, and that was not 5 years ago.
No, not quite. But what a cool experience that was. And then we've been lucky enough to see it down the road.
But the
a few other
symmetry
places.
is amazing.
But you've really grown as an artist, and your music has evolved and changed. And of course, we were huge fans of Boots and Pearl.
You guys are
so how many albums now have you done? 4?
I think it's 4. Yeah, four. Desert Dwelling Mama was the last one. And we've got a new one on par, a new one coming down the pipeline.
The producer's back here doing and talking to your manager.
She's keeping everybody under.
So she does that to me, and I'm supposed to understand what she's talking about.
I don't speak sign language, but I do speak.
I remember in Elko, I thought that you said you wrote Boots and Pearls.
Oh, Boots and Pearls about Liz.
Well, I kind of wrote everything about Lizzie, honestly.
Because she was such a hand.
She is.
She was living your dream.
Yeah, she was. She's always been my hero.
She's pretty ranchy. Both of you are pretty ranchy.
I'm not. I get in the way. I stand in the gate a lot, and I get really lucky. And I always say I'd rather have luck than skill any day of the week. I couldn't keep up with half of the girls here.
I tell people all the time, I'd rather be lucky than good, and I ain't either one.
I'm not.
I
was about to say I'm not. Yeah. I'm not either of them. But you know, it's having inspiration like Lizzie. It's amazing. She hates it when I talk about this sort of thing, but she's the shy retiring one. But
we all have to have someone to look up to, right?
We do.
And so, you know,
she's always been my hero.
And I don't have an older brother, but I have people that I look up to. But I have 2 younger brothers who, believe it or not, ended up following the same footsteps I did with the horses and the rodeo deal because that's what I decided to do, and they followed. We're farm kids. We grew up on a farm in Idaho. Our dad was not a cowboy.
Yeah.
You know, he had horses and he grew up around horses, but he wasn't a horseman. And so, you know, it was something that we all did, and we all did pretty good at it. You know, we had some luck.
And it's interesting, terrible. I think we could probably talk for 20 years about all this stuff.
We can.
But I think there's something to be said about, in the cowboy world, I think sometimes, you know, I wasn't born into a cowboy family. My dad cowboyed, and he was a saddle maker. But it wasn't like I was on a legacy, like, multi-generation ranch.
Right.
I followed my hero's footsteps. That's what I did.
Sure.
And sometimes I think, especially when I was, like, wanting to be like the cool people, there's, like, this deep need and this drive that if you're not born into it, it's like this spark that just doesn't go out.
Right.
And then it grows, and that's something that I love about the cowboy world now, is that it feels like it's a very accepting, open, like, if you're not from this world, come in here and let us teach you.
Let us teach you if you're willing to learn.
If you have an open mind and you're not coming in here telling folks what to do, and you want to learn and you have a passion for it, there's so many places that and folks that are willing to do that.
I totally agree. I started out roping, and then I wanted to ride cutting horses, and I spent a lot of time with some of the greats in the industry. and they were very willing to teach me. And I worked hard for nothing to learn, right?
But I think that's a sign of the greats. Is like it's always the really great hands that are the most, okay, if you're willing to work and put the time in, I'll teach you everything I can.
And they'll share. Well, and I think, and honestly, what we found, even in the music deal, is that's very, very similar. We hear a lot of the same stories. You know, you hear about the greats, the great Texas writers like Gary P. Nunn and like Jerry Jeff Walker and Townes Van Zandt and those guys that were willing to let those younger guys come in and they teach them how to write songs.
Well, you have to. And that's, I mean, that mentorship, what else do you have if you don't pass it on?
And where does it go? Right?
You lose that art.
We end up with what we have in Nashville now. And
I can neither confirm nor deny my perspective on that current situation. Bro country.
It was really interesting. We Mary Kay, when we interviewed her the other day, she said, I'm going to step in it here. She says, I got to give props to Beyonce. And I'm like, and then she kind of justified and explained herself and defended it. And I said, in that regard, I'd have to agree. But did she warrant winning Country Album of the Year? No.
But to my perspective, I look at Nashville, and I'm only there a couple times a year for work, and get to co-write with some amazing people that I really admire. Folks in Nashville are cut from a different cloth, and they're cut from a cloth that I'm not willing to be, which is I'm really selfish. I love my lifestyle. Like, I love my animals. I love my family. I really love my peace. And I've never been really willing to put in the things that a lot of folks are willing to sacrifice to do that. I've done it in different ways.
Right.
But not the way that folks in Nashville are. And there's so many incredibly talented people in that city that no one's ever going to hear about, except for the fact that they write these incredible songs for people. And sometimes they get signed to these labels and they get shelved because, say, there's another pretty blonde and they're marketing her at that time. And that's, I think that's kind of hard. And for so many hardworking people that are there, gives them kind of a bad taste in their mouth for the industry.
Well, and I would agree, and we've been fortunate enough to kind of find ourselves at a couple of songwriter festivals.
They're amazing.
And totally, that's our new favorite.
It's incredible.
And we've interviewed those artists, and that's what I tell people. I've had people tell me this, Byron, I don't know these artists you're interviewing, and I said, no, but you know their music, you know their songs. You've been listening to Bryce Long's music for years.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's names like Chris Stapleton that people go, whoa, he just came out of nowhere. No, for 20 years he and the Steel Drivers were there and he's writing amazing. Same thing with some of these. There's some incredible women that I look up to as writers and as musicians and as artists and just as people, frankly, that have written all these hit songs for like Keith Urban and folks that it's like them, but you don't know them.
You don't know them.
You don't know them, but they have impacted your life at all the big moments.
Well, we got to interview Marla Cannon Goodman, and Marla is such a sweet lady and has had some great success, and has written for a lot, but grew up in the industry, and so has been there her whole life. And her dad was such a huge influence in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like the cowboy world. I mean, it's all. There's not one way to do music. There's not one way to be a cowboy. There's not one way to do life. And everybody's just trying to do their best and find the best way to express themselves. And whether that's through whatever we call bro country or cowboy music or folk music or rap or pop or whatever it is. So long as you are expressing yourself in the way that best represents who you are as a human and what you believe, then more power to you. Like, that's what I want to hear is authenticity every time.
Absolutely. And we're in a position now, and this all came together really fast, but we're actually have people reach out to us now and say, hey, can we be on your podcast?
Oh, I love that
so that's cool, and we'll take all comers. Anybody who wants to sit on the couch with us. We interviewed the Arizona Wildflowers yesterday.
Did you really?
And what a cute group, and
that's
all the way from 2 days ago, but from Little Sawyer, the only boy in the bunch, to Little Isley, who's a fiddle playing machine.
What amazing experience that you're able to give them, but also in a positive and safe environment. Like, that's a big thing too, is I started working for a living when I was 14.
Right.
And no matter what industry you're in, whether it's cowboy world or otherwise, it can be
there's some icky parts of life.
There are some tough parts of life. And as a kid, to know that there are people like you can come and gain that experience here on this couch and know that you're in a safe place. Know that these people have, you know, best intentions for you. That's a beautiful thing. And that's a beautiful thing about the cowboy world. And that's a beautiful thing about this event, too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's so many great people here. And we've seen lots of old friends since we got here.
Just like the walk over here over Atlanta.
But our old friend, Old Dale. You know, do you know Dale and I live in the same town? Do you know
Are
Dale?
You serious?
Dale and I have been...
Wait, you guys... Is he still in...
He lives in Shelley, Idaho. But
he's still in Shelley?
He lives in Congress in the winter. He's here. He was here yesterday.
Are you kidding me?
No.
So Dale Harwood is the reason I went to school.
I know.
He is the reason I went to school. That is...
And when I told him we were interviewing you, he said... She's going to be here tomorrow. Him and Karen.
Oh, okay.
No, they're very, very dear friends of ours.
Oh, my heart is so happy.
Dale and I went to the very first rope school I ever went to. Neil Arvey and Dale and his boy Twain were there at the roping school. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
But that's what this is all about, right? Lifelong friends and relationships. So
I think I was 12 or 13 when we went to his saddle. It was him and I think Steve Meekum. Or maybe it was and Carrie Schwartz.
Oh, Carrie Schwartz
in Oklahoma City.
Oh,
and
at the TCA.
Yes, at the TCAA deal,
wow.
and they did a saddle making clinic. And I really wanted to build saddles at that time. My daddy's a saddle maker. I really wanted to. And talking to him, he was the one who encouraged me and was like, you need to go to school no matter how into this sort of thing you are.
Yeah.
You need to have that backup. And that just,
he's a great guy and a great friend. His daughter literally lived across the street from us.
Did she really?
Oh, yeah. And so I've known him forever. But when I told him you were here, he was really excited. So we're going to make sure. I think they were going to try and come tonight.
Are they really?
Yeah.
So
I'll find out if they're coming. But
tonight'll be fun.
So Nancy Martini, do you know Nancy?
I do. So
her booth is right by the stage.
Is she? I'm so excited. Yeah. See, I haven't made it anywhere. I made it from the artist tent to over here, and that took me 30 minutes. So.
Yeah,
I have no idea how I'm going to make it over to the arena.
But I know some big tough guys. We'll just bodyguard you.
No, see, that's the problem is I get so excited and I see everybody and then I starfish myself and I'm like, we're going to have fun.
It's so hard. And you have a place to be. So
what time is it? Let's see.
3:00.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you real quick to play us a song.
Okay.
Tell us about it. Set it up for me if there's a good backstory to it. Because that's what we love about this.
You know, I think that's always what I love about music is that, like with cowboy music, there is always a story that goes along with it. Whether you're telling a story about roping something a little deep on some icy ground and getting yourself into a tight spot, or you're talking about trading for a bad dog or whatever it is, or you're talking about love, because I know everybody's always been in those circumstances. For the past, it's been almost 3 years. I've been at grad school in DC, and I think before I went, there was kind of this perception that, like, if you can make it for the next couple of years, you'll get done and then you'll get out of there as quickly as possible. And I think, you and I were talking a little bit before about how there's some just incredibly patriotic, wonderful humans in DC that are dedicated to our country and to making this country the place that it can and can be and is. And I have great respect for them, and I loved my time there. And simultaneously, I missed other kinds of peace, and I missed quiet, and I missed the mountains, and I missed horses, and I missed cattle so much, and I missed the tradition and I missed the lifestyle in many ways. And at the same time, kind of having that balance, it was really weird to juggle because it's like two sides of the same person fighting each other. One going, no, you're supposed to be here and doing this. And the other one going, yes, but you love this. And no, but you can do this. And the other one going, enjoy the moment. So there was this odd split of pain and joy the entire time. And I think that struggle is something that you see in all facets of life. And
I would agree.
There's usually the yin and yang of things. There's usually both sides to things. And this song is called La Lucha, which means to struggle.
Okay.
And I think it talks a little bit about the struggles that you run into and also the joy that comes on the other side of getting through the struggle. And it's not released yet, but it's going to be on this long-awaited album that I keep promising.
I love this. You'd be amazed at how many people share new songs with us on the podcast. Yeah.
Because it's a safe space.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've loved this land, but never the pain. Love this guitar. Well, I've loved that man, but never the claims he's laid on my cheek. And you roped the bad ones, and I rode the wild. I followed the ponies, everyone said was too much. Sometimes they were too much.
Yeah.
As there's pain and there's freedom hiding in them hills. Well, I'm willing to struggle if you love me still. And there's magic and gold in the hard work I crave. If you will love me and keep me through the good and bad days. Well, the rain never comes and the cold fronts they move in. The markets go down, we're sinners living in sin. And the wind never stops, and the dust coats my face. Kind of like here at Art of the Cowgirl. Yeah. As we circle back around and head for the home place. There's pain and there's freedom hiding in them hills. I'm willing to struggle if you love me still. There's magic and gold in the hard work I crave. If you will love me and keep me through the good and bad days. And she calls to me the open road. She knows my name. She owns my soul. She draws me back. She pulls me in. But I always return to the place where there's peace, to the warm arms of love where you're holding me. To the dreams that we built and the stories we tell. It's the meaning of joy and the damning of my hell. As I've loved this land, but never the pain. This is my favorite line at the end. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
And I'll stay on this land till the feds come for me.
Awesome.
Can you believe I lived in DC?
I love that. I love that.
you.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
Flip that thing over and sign on the back.
I promise it is worth so much more if you do not have my
We
scroll in here. Oh my gosh, look at all this.
This is the wildflowers.
The wildflowers. Look at this. You got Jessie over here.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. All right, well, I'm about to make things a little bit girlier with a heart here.
You do it. I love it.
Oh, this has
been so fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you
and
so
I'm going to
much,
reserve
my
the
friend.
right to do this again when we have more time.
Oh, you
so
better.
we're not rushed.
May I please come back? Because this is really fun. I love this.
You know what? We
My
just
heart is
adore
happy.
you. You've been
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
For Musical Miles Podcast, I'm your host, Byron, coming to you from Arizona, from the Art of the Cowgirl in Wickenburg with my friend, Little Miss Adrian Brannan. We'll see you somewhere down the road. Adios for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are so kind. Thank you.